Here are the most legendary Bigfoot encounters ever caught on camera. Moments that make you freeze, lean in, and wonder what else is roaming the wild when no one is supposed to be watching. Number 1. The Kentucky Ridge Forest Giant. Deep inside Kentucky Ridge Forest, far from main roads and cell signals, a man had been dealing with something he couldn't explain. For months he heard heavy footsteps outside his cabin like deep growls in the trees. He had a sure feeling that something huge was watching him from the shadows. He told his friends, but no one believed him, not until he finally caught it on camera. It happened early one morning, just before sunrise. The sky was a pale blue and the forest was still half asleep. The air carried that cold silence you only get before dawn. He stepped outside on his way to work, still half asleep while expecting another ordinary day. But that feeling hit him again like always. The woods were too quiet and too still to be normal. He lifted his camera and pointed it toward the tree line, more out of instinct than anything. That's when the shape moved. A tall figure stepped between the trees, not out of blue nor confused. It walked with the slow, heavy confidence of something that knew these woods better than he did. The creature stood too tall with shoulders wide and arms long. Its entire body was covered in dark and thick hair. Even with the low-quality footage, you can see the size, and you can feel it, and the fear that it came with.
Are you joking right now? I'll be in the house.
This was not a person in a costume. It was something too real to ignore. It didn't react to the camera. It didn't look his way. It just moved, steady and deliberate, like a massive bipedal ape cutting through the forest on its morning routes, as if it was a morning walk for it. The man whispered a shaky breath. He didn't dare call out or move closer. The creature slipped between the trees until it blended with the shadows and disappeared completely. When he posted the clip online, debates exploded. Some said the proportions were too real for a hoax, and others claimed the video was the most convincing Bigfoot movement they'd ever seen. But the real question still remains unanswered. If this was just one morning in Kentucky Ridge Forest, how many more times had it been watching him without being caught? Number 2, the hemlock that came back in pieces. This next encounter isn't a quick sighting or a shaky clip. It's stranger than that. It's the kind of mystery that unfolds slowly. It is one impossible detail at a time, until you realize something in the forest might be listening or watching.
I mentioned this one stump that last summer was a beautiful live tree, hemlock, and it stood so nice and tall. It's been in a bunch of my videos, and one day I came and not only had the tree been like broken off and snapped off, the whole tree had disappeared. It never showed itself again. And I've just been chuckling over that ever since. And I'm back today and I'm looking in this granddaddy structure. And I think, I mentioned last time, like, well, where did it go?
The witness had been exploring the same patch of woods for years. She knew every stump, every stone, every strange wooden structure scattered throughout the area. Last summer, she noticed something odd. A tall, healthy hemlock tree he had filmed many times was suddenly snapped clean off. It was not just broken, it was literally gone, vanished from the clearing like it had never existed. First, she joked about it and shrugged it off. Because of course nature can be weird at times, she thought some storms would happen and the trees might have fallen in it. But a whole tree disappearing without a trace? Even she couldn't explain that. But she conveniently believed it might have been a storm.
There is about a 1, 2, 3, 3.5 foot length piece of hemlock that wasn't in here before. and it actually looks about the same diameter as that tree. It looks like it's part of the trunk of the hemlock that disappeared. Now this wasn't here. This is a recent bring-in. So once again, it's fascinating that something I was wondering about, talking about, curious about, kind of chuckling over, just of the joy of almost the humor or the amazingness of it. And here is a chunk of what looks to be part of that trunk that disappeared last summer. And that's also when this big rock behind me moved. I did also make mention last time that there was another piece leaning against the stone, which has also been slowly moving around this area. It was leaned up against it or was on the ground, and I said, that looks like it may have been from this tree.
Then she came back months later, and that's when things shifted from strange to unsettling, something that was beyond an answer. Inside one of the massive forest structures she calls the Granddaddy, she spotted something she swore had never been there before. A long, heavy section of hemlock trunk, about 3.5 feet long. Same thickness, same color, and same bark pattern as that of the earlier. It looked exactly like the missing tree, except it had not been there the last time he visited. That gave her a clarity of something strange happening in the forest. But to be sure about it, she checked again. Another piece she had once seen leaning against a stone had vanished. But this new piece was longer, placed neatly in the structure, almost like someone had brought it back and set it there for him to find.
But it was a different piece. It was shorter. This is longer. So is the tree coming back in pieces after a year? Who knows? It's fascinating. It is just awesome. All right, so I'm going to keep looking around. Hope you're having a lovely Saturday morning. It's a glorious day here today. Really happy to be alive. All right, take care. We'll talk to you soon, everybody. Bye. This is also amazing. I'm just a little farther down. Now, I'm just at these beautiful structures. A couple things have changed. This root ball that was originally used in a structure against that tree, I think, in the spring, and it had a cool stone shoved in the roots. Last time I was here, just the other day, was lying on the ground over here, and I don't know if I made a video or I think I may have taken a picture or two.
Was the forest doing this job itself? Was someone or something rearranging pieces when she wasn't around? Questions just started hitting her mind one after the other. She kept walking and noticed more changes. A massive root ball that had once been part of a different structure had moved again. Stones that were once tucked into roots had shifted. Birch bark pieces had appeared where none existed before. Everything was changing in a way that didn't feel random. It felt purposeful, like the forest was tidying up behind him or responding to his visits. Some people say wind, weather, and gravity explain it. Others believe his attention, curiosity, and the forest itself created a strange connection. Maybe like a feedback loop or a conversation in changes and rearrangement. But then there's the third option, the one no one wants to say out loud. What if something out there is watching these visits and leaving responses? Or what if the hemlock didn't just fall, but was taken and returned? So what do you think? Was it a natural chain of forest shifts or a silent builder working just out of sight? Number 3, the Oklahoma eyes in the dark. Some encounters feel distant and mysterious, but this one felt personal and almost like confronting something. Robert Dodson, a self-described Bigfoot hunter, spent years trying a different approach. He didn't go out stalking through the woods. He didn't chase shadows or wander blindly in the dark. Instead, he tried to bring the creatures to him.
I'm gonna keep dunking down for it, damn it. You don't like that light, whatever the hell it is.
On September 16, 2014, he set out a fresh bait pile in his Oklahoma research area. The night was thick and humid, wrapped in the kind of darkness that swallows sound. Around 9:30 p.m., he began sweeping his camera across the tree line, scanning for anything that might be curious enough to approach. That's when he saw them, a pair of glowing eyes staring at him from the trees. They weren't low to the ground like a raccoon. They were not wide like deer. They were high and literally too high. And they blinked with a slow, steady rhythm that made Dodson mutter under his breath. He asked, "What are you? Quit ducking down." Every time he tried to center the camera, the eyes hid behind the brush and then rose again.
Damn, I wish I'd put the battery in that damn thing. Shit. Don't do this at home. Whatever you do.
It felt like a game of hide and seek with something that didn't want to be fully seen. Against every instinct, Dodson moved closer. Then he made a choice he himself warned others never to make. He charged toward the eyes. The footage shakes as the camera jerks, and Dodson curses himself for not installing a fresh battery in his thermal equipment. For a moment, all he sees is darkness. Then something happens. A rock hits near him, hard and deliberate.
Right over here. Don't ever do this. Right off behind all this. Turn around. Let the camera see it. Oh, that was a rock.
For a moment, Dodson thought the creature was behind him. Those words slip out in a shaky voice mixed with confusion and fear. Suddenly, the situation is not playful, not curious, but only dangerous. Dodson tried to listen to the surroundings, but there was no growl, no footsteps, just the heavy silence of something watching him from too close.
Oh, shit. He's behind me there.
Fearing aggression, he backs away and leaves the area for the night. When he returned later, he placed a marker on a pine at the exact height where the eyes had stared back at him. It was 8 feet. When the video was aired, some netizens insisted it was just a deer. But Dodson knew deer don't stand that tall. They don't throw rocks, and they don't shadow a man in the dark like they're studying him. So what did Dodson face that night? A curious creature or something warning him not to come any closer? Number 4. The Silent Giants of Springbrook National Park. Most people think Sasquatch sightings only happen in North America, but reports stretch far beyond that border. Australia has its own version, known as the Yowie, and the oldest group dedicated to studying these creatures is the Australian Yowie Research Team. On April 2nd, 2021, a 4-people team set out into the Gold Coast hinterland. 2 days into the expedition, they set up camp in Springbrook National Park, a place known for thick rainforest, steep cliffs, and long stretches of wilderness where sound disappears too fast. That night, after dinner, researcher Buck Bingham walked away from the camp to test their newest thermal camera. He didn't expect much, maybe a possum or maybe a wallaby. That was what he expected. But an hour before midnight, his quiet practice run turned into something none of them were ready for. Buck radioed the team and his voice was steady but tense. "I've got something. 50 meters out, big head. It's looking around a tree stump." He zoomed in, expecting to clarify the shape. Instead, he literally froze. The thermal screen showed not one, but 2 massive heat signatures. Both of them are tall, Both of them are too wide to be anything common in the Australian bush. Buck kept trying to refine the zoom. The figures looked small on the viewfinder, and he wanted clearer footage. So for just a moment, he stopped recording to adjust the settings. That tiny gap was all it took. By the time he pressed record again, the creatures were gone, with no footsteps, no broken branches, and no sound at all. They had slipped into the rainforest like shadows that knew exactly how to disappear. When the team inspected the spot the next day, they used Buck's instructions and the surrounding foliage to calculate the height of whatever he saw it. It was 8 to 9 feet tall, too big for a human and too silent for wildlife. Moreover, it was too coordinated to be an accident. Whatever was out there wasn't alone, and it wasn't curious. It was watching. 2 pairs of eyes and 2 towering bodies, gone without a trace. So the question stands, what kind of creature can vanish that fast in a forest where nothing ever moves quietly? Number 5, the red giant of southern Ontario. For almost 30 years, a man known online as Timber Giant Bigfoot has been chasing one thing, not fame or paying attention. He just wanted proof. After thousands of hours in the woods, he managed to capture only a few minutes that truly shook him.
Holy shit. Where is it? Oh, come on, where? It's right there. I don't have my glasses on. Girl, look at that. Holy. That's what's making the noise. Holy. Oh. Holy shit. Oh, crap, I lost it.
And they came from one afternoon in southern Ontario. It was September 15th, 2013. The forest was calm, humid, and quiet until Timber Giant heard it. A steady, rhythmic stone knocking. He was sure it was not some branches. No chance for animals, because hitting stones has some purpose and Timber knew it. He followed the sound through the brush. Every step brought it closer and closer. When he reached a clearing, he lifted the camera, and that was it. He just froze. About 100 feet away, there was a red figure sitting among the trees. Holy, there it is. Look at that, he whispered into the camera. He was speaking in disbelief.
Where'd it go? Holy. I'm pretty sure that was the thing that was making the noise. I'm not seeing it now. But I think that's it. Oh, cameras everywhere. Oh, look at that. What the hell am I looking at? I'm looking down there. I don't see it at all with my eye, but I can kind of see it on the screen. It's gone now. Holy, there it is.
The creature looked massive, and it was wrapped in reddish hair, with a frame far broader than any human. It sat still, almost relaxed, knocking stones together like a signal. Timber stared at the screen. Without his glasses, he could barely see it with his own eyes, but the camera showed enough to make his heartbeat climb. Then it moved. He zoomed in and then out, afraid to lose track. The creature shifted behind branches, then went out of sight. He banged a tree with his stick, hoping for a reaction, and he got one.
Holy. Oh my God. I'm guessing it's probably, look at the clicker here. It's probably like, I don't know, 150 feet away. It's me. I'm behind it, I guess. I'll see what happens. I don't know if I should do this or not.
A sharp knock echoed back. Okay, it's answering, he said on camera. But the creature didn't charge. It didn't roar. It simply slipped off to the left with the same quiet control you'd expect from a predator that knows the forest better than any person alive. Timber approached the spot where it had been sitting. The ground was warm. The stones it had been banging were pressed deep into the soil. Something heavy had been there because that spot was still warm. "Look at this. Look at the size of that," he said with the curiosity of a little child.
I don't know what to do now. I should just survey the area and look around, or just what? Now look for some footprints. Look at this though, holy. The stone is even warm. Look, there's where it was smashing things with it. Look at this. The stone's right in the ground. What's that? What the fuck? There's a friggin' dog. There's a wild dog. It's gone.
As he scanned the trees, the creature briefly appeared again behind a trunk. Just a flash of red fur and a massive shape shifting in silence. Then it was gone for good. A moment later, a wild dog ran through the clearing, but Timber knew it was not the same thing he saw, and not even close. For all the noise the creature made with those stones, the way it moved was almost supernatural. It came and went without sound, sat calmly in the open, and then vanished like it was part of the forest itself. 3 decades of searching and thousands of minutes of footage. But those few seconds in Ontario might be the closest he's ever come to proving something really is out there. Something big enough to shake the ground when it sits down, and something smart enough to answer knocks, and something patient enough to watch him before he ever knew it was there. Number 6. The Gulf Island Rock Shadow. Some of the most convincing encounters don't come from researchers or lifelong trackers. They come from ordinary people who are not hunting for anything mysterious at all. And that is exactly what makes this next incident so unique. On August 8, 2013, Bill and Wendy from Gulf Island Rock were driving back from Port Renfrew, Canada. It was the kind of relaxed summer drive where the forest hugs both sides of the road and the air feels heavier the deeper you go. After hours behind the wheel, Wendy suggested they pull over for a short hike. Nothing dramatic, just a quick walk to loosen their legs before finishing the trip home. Even Bill was excited to take a little break through the forest, which will have 100 stories to tell. They found a small pull-off, stepped into the tree line, and followed a narrow path about 200 feet in. The forest was calm, quiet, and bright enough that they didn't think twice about wandering deeper. Then Wendy stopped and Bill stopped behind her, and both of them saw it at the same time. A large, hairy figure stood around 100 feet away. At first, Bill tried to rationalize it. He thought it was a bear digging for food, because the size did fit that of a bear. The color fits too, and talking about those slow, deliberate movements, it was moreover a sure thing. But something didn't sit right. The more he watched, the more the shape refused to match anything familiar. The head was not shaped like a bear's. It sat higher, rounder, and almost human in silhouette. The shoulders were broader than either of them had ever seen on wildlife in the area, and the posture was all wrong. It was not moving on all fours. It wasn't shifting like an animal searching the ground. It looked like something standing and something thinking. Then, without warning, it shifted its weight and walked behind a tree. No noise, no rush, just a smooth and steady movement deeper into the woods. That was the moment something clicked for both of them. Whatever they were looking at was not a bear, and they did not want to wait around for it to come back. They left with no panic, nor a slow retreat. They didn't put themselves in any trouble by filming. It was just a silent agreement that it was time to go. They walked out of the forest with a tightness in their chests which neither of them could shake. Back at the car, Bill looked at Wendy and said the thought they had both been avoiding. The head looked too human and the size was too big. The posture was too upright, just like a human, but not a human. And the silence that followed was heavier than anything they felt in the woods. Sometimes the most powerful encounters come from people who were not searching for answers. They were simply in the wrong place at the wrong moment, and whatever stood in that forest with Bill and Wendy that afternoon walked with a purpose they still can't explain. Drop your theories, your thoughts, and even your own stories in the comments. And if you love exploring the strange and unexplained, check out the other compilations waiting for you. Encounters, disappearances, trail cam mysteries, all of it is lined up and ready. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below if you've ever witnessed anything you still can't explain.